LaDainian came in literally the day after the season ended. He called me up and said, hey, I want to get started. I want to become the best running back to ever play the game. It was always my intention to work with athletes. I always thought I wanted to work with athletes. I was always an athlete myself, so I gravitated to that. I became the sports massage therapist for the San Diego Chargers in 2001, 2002. And we would go down there and service all the Charger players afterwards. And that was the start of me working with athletes. It was in year 2002, 3, right at the end of that season, when I had the opportunity to meet LaDainian Tomlinson. And LaDainian came up to me one day when I was down at the Charger complex and said, hey, I understand you do some functional fitness. Now realize I'm only a few years into business. I'm in my early 30s, and I was nervous as heck, thinking, darn, like LT, man, he's a great running back, and what am I gonna do to help this guy out? I mean, you know, Fitness Quest 10 was a 2,000 square foot studio. I didn't have this big gym and all this fancy equipment. But I realized after meeting him that it wasn't about the equipment. It wasn't about the facility. It was about, can you help somebody? Because the first thing I did is I assessed him. I did a single leg balance touch test for 60 seconds. And one side, LaDainian was like 32 on one side. I'm like, man, this guy's good. And then I had him go to the other side. And as he's doing the other side, he had really bad stability on the side. He's jumping all over the place. And I internally was like, are you kidding me? This is like, you know, one of the best running backs in the game, and he's young, he's fresh. So when he was done, he hit 23. So he had 32 on one side, 23 on the other. So right then and there, I said, LaDainian, I said, think about the imbalance we have in our hips, and our balance right now as a running back, the shiftiness and the quickness we need to have. Your hips are imbalanced. You got 23 on one side, 32 on the other. And if I'm good, I said, what side do you like to cut to? And he does this little movement, he cuts. He's like, I like cutting, you know, over to the right. I said, well, what side did you do more on? He goes, I did more on the left. I said, yeah, because your left is stronger, it's more efficient. You got 32 on that, and your right side, we do 23. You don't like cutting that way. And if I'm a good coach and I'm going against you, I'll take that side away every time and force you to go to your weak side. So if we can balance this out, we can get your game to a whole nother level. I saw a light bulb go off that day in his head. And he's a bright guy. He was hungry, and that was the start of a close to 10-year relationship of me training him. I was nervous and scared as heck in the beginning, but it was one simple test that made me realize is I can help this guy. The bottom line is that you put your heart and your soul into helping people out, and whether they're pro athletes, whether they're little kids, or whether they're my 62-year-old woman who cobbled in year 2000, who's still with me today, who just wants to play tennis and feel good and be pain-free. It's about taking your experiences and helping people out.